Hello everyone, Zach Dreyer here with an informational video on how to get set up on the TrackMan simulator. We're very excited to have this amenity to use all winter long here at Elkona. So in this video you'll see how to get set up to play golf, how to use some of the practice features, and maybe some of the bugs and things you may run into, and how to fix them on the fly when you're using the TrackMan simulator. So thanks for watching, stay tuned for more.
A couple rules to remember when we're using the TrackMan and take a look at it in this whole setup here is, number one, we want to use tennis shoes or spikeless golf shoes. Don't use spikes on the mat to make sure it stays in good use for a long time. We also want to make sure we don't bring any drinks onto the turf when we're hitting. You can see the TrackMan stays in the center of the mat at all times. The computer is located to the right, the projector overhead. This is a good overview of the TrackMan simulator. Now let's take a look at the main screen and the four options you'll see when you open up TrackMan Performance Studio. You have practice, courses, games, and tournaments. Let's talk a little bit about the practice feature. So if you click on the practice setup on the computer screen, you'll have 5 different options here to select from. Number one is shot analysis. This is where you'll get into the weeds of all the data TrackMan will give you. We use this for fittings, for lessons. It's really in-depth on what's going on in your golf swing, and a great place to learn more. The range setup is just a great place to warm up. You can hit balls on the range with different clubs, see how far they're going, and give you some basic data points as to what's going on with your swing. Third is target practice. Target practice is another range setup where you can actually hit to different targets in a simulated driving range setup. It's a great tool, again, to warm up or practice more. On the top right, you'll see on-course practice, where you can, again, practice any shot on one of the over 200 courses that are downloaded onto the TrackMan software. Fun place to recreate some of the tour shots you've seen on TV. And finally, you'll see the test center, where you can get into more online options and do the TrackMan Combine. So a lot of fun ways to use the practice feature, and we'll go into more in future videos. Alright, now let's take a look at the courses setup, where you'll go to actually play simulated golf. So if you click on the courses, the second option here on the main screen, it'll bring you to some of your options here. So along the top, you can see some of the different choices you have. There's over 200 courses to choose from here. Your latest will bring the most recently downloaded to the library. Secondly is tour venues, where you can play any of the courses that have hosted a PGA, European, or Asian tour event. Third is links. If you'd like to play some links courses, St. Andrews, Royal Troon, you'll see some of the options here. Fourth, you have junior tees, so you can see some of the courses that have junior tees and what those yardages are if you want to play some shorter courses, or you have a junior golfer with you. Fifth is the par 3. There's a handful of par 3 courses on here where you can play. Some of them are true and some of them are made up, but they're fun to play if you'd like to just play a par 3 course. And finally, full will give you an entire library of over 200 courses downloaded onto the TrackMan software, so you can scroll through and see all the different options, the difficulty ratings, the yardages of all the courses that are available. Next, let's show you how to set up a round of golf. So we'll click on Muirfield Village here in 2021 and get it set up to play. So once we've selected our course, we hit continue and we go to add our players. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the add player option, and we're going to add a guest. It's always going to be guest, and we can type in any name we have here. I'm off screen typing here. We can change the color of the player if you'd like. We can add their handicap index. Important to give indexes because your handicap number will change depending on the course you play. So I'll put 5.3 here. I can change my gender, and then I can select the tees I'd like to play, all the way from the tips, the Memorial or Muirfield tees, down to the reds. So I would like to play the blue tees in this situation. We'll hit continue. We'll add our second player. Again, add guest. I'll add Caleb in here. We'll change the color, add his handicap index, we'll make him an 8.3, and you can also play different tees if you'd like to play a different set of tees with someone. So we'll have Caleb play the green tees here. When you hit continue, it will ask if you'd like to play the same, if everybody would like to play the same tees. You can hit yes or no. And now we'll go into our settings, which is very important. So when you click game settings, you have a lot of different options here. First, what kind of game do you want to play? An individual game, 2-player teams, 3-player teams, 4-player teams. You can set this up how you want. We'll set up as individual match play here since there's 2 of us. Next, we can go to holes. Do we want to play all 18, front 9 or back 9? Sorry, this is hard to see here. The pins, easy, medium, or difficult. We'll make them medium pins. Mulligans, do you want to allow mulligans? Yes or no? Putting, very important to get into putting here. I suggest when you start to go to the auto 2-putt mode. This will give everybody an automatic 2-putt if they're outside of a gimme distance. Gimme distance is set up as 8 feet. You can also do a fixed where everybody is under the same rules. It'll give you 1 putt inside 10 feet, 2 putts inside 60 feet, and 3 putts inside 65 feet. You can also have it fixed for a Tour Pro or by handicap, which means the computer will randomly generate a number based on your handicap of how many putts you should have, or you can manually putt, and we'll talk about that towards the end of this video. I would suggest doing an auto putt. Then you can select your gimme distance, what distance you want to be gimme, 4, 8, 12, so on and so forth. And then, as always, it'll give you a breakfast ball option. Do you want to have 2 shots off the first tee? We'll say no in this case. After that, we'll hit continue, and that'll load our course for us. You can see it will load up. We're on hole number 1 at Muirfield Village. It'll give you a brief little overlay here. And now we are ready to tee off.
Alright, so we're ready to tee off here at Muirfield Village. I'm going to jump back in front of the camera to show you some of the things you're going to want to look at when you're playing golf here, because we are simulating real golf, and obviously when we're hitting in a cage right here, we have to take a look at some of the factors that will affect the play. Number 1, in the bottom corner over here, you'll see the overview of the hole. You can click and select where you want to aim, where you want the software to aim you, as well as the yardage. So I've got it set at 275 yards, which is a pretty good driver for me, and where I want to aim in the fairway. Couple things to note down here. You'll see what hole you're on, the yardage of the hole, the par of the hole, and the handicap index at the top. This is in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. In the top left, you'll notice a wind direction. I suggest playing on calm to get used to it. You can see that it'll rotate between 3 and 4 mile an hour breeze right now, blowing out of the right, and that will affect ball flight when you play. Probably not at 3 to 4 miles an hour, but if it gets windier, you're going to want to check that. Down here, we'll talk to some of the features that you can click from the screen to show you when I move off camera here. Down in the bottom left-hand side, you'll see a couple things that you'll want to know. Number 1, yardage of the hole. Next to that, down here, you'll see elevation change, something that will again affect your shot. You can see from the tee box down to the fairway, we are down 25 feet. Which means the ball is going to go a little bit further. So you're going to want to check that, because you may have to adjust your yardage based on the elevation. Also, excuse me, right below those 2 things are 2 things that say power and spin. Also something you're going to want to check. I'm on the tee box right now. Anytime you're on the tee box or in the fairway, your power and spin will always be 100%, because we're simulating real golf here, which means that whatever the TrackMan reads is how far the ball will go and exactly how much it'll spin. That'll change when you're in the rough, and when you're in the bunker especially. You may notice the power at 90% or 89%, and you may notice the spin drop to 70, 80%, because we're simulating a lie in the rough. So if I have 100 yards and my power says 90% because I'm in the rough, you can expect a normal 100-yard shot to go 90 yards. So you'll have to adjust there on the fly to simulate the golf. Spin as well will be affected when you're in the rough or in the bunker. Obviously, we're not going to hit out of rough or out of the sand here, but you may notice those spin numbers drop, meaning that because we're simulating grass behind the ball's not going to spin as much as what the TrackMan reads. So be very careful and make sure to notice those things when you're playing your first time.
Okay, before we hit this tee shot, let's talk about some of the features down here that the buttons that we can click. First, the golf ball button on the bottom left-hand side, you can actually select where you want to tee off. See, if you want to tee off on the left side of the marker or the right side, you can select that from that button. The second button down will toggle on and off the grid feature that we'll talk about more. This is great for putting and for the lies in the fairway. We'll see more of that in a second. The third option down here is some drone shots. So you've got 4 options. The very left one will give you a hole overview, so you can see a drone footage of the entire hole. You'll actually see the little marker down there that'll show you where you're currently aiming. So there's that little marker where I'm aiming in the fairway, and it'll go all the way up to the green if you just want to see the entire overview. The second button will show you the green. with the grid on there. You can see you can toggle on and off that grid feature to show you some of the slopes in the green. Third button will give you a target. It'll give you a view of where that target shot is aiming, and you can click from here to move it around if you want to aim at a different spot. And finally, it'll give you a drone view from straight above the tee shot if you want to just see the whole overview from the tee box. The final button will give you some toggle on and off some yardages. Hard to see here, but it'll give you a number to where you're aiming as well as to where the hole is, so you can toggle that on and off as well.
All right, here's where the fun begins. Let's talk about hitting some shots down here. And before we hit this shot, let's talk about what we want to do or how we want to hit in a simulated area. Number one, let's talk about the golf ball. We have all of these golf balls down here. They're made by Titleist, and they are called RCT balls. Let me zoom into the camera here. You'll see that this ball, where's my camera, has RCT on the side. That stands for Radar Capture Technology. That means that this is a normal Pro V1X. However, it has a thin layer of foil underneath the cover there, which helps the TrackMan read the spin almost perfectly or precisely. These are the best balls to use in the simulator golf. We've got all makes of Titleist balls down here in these RCT. So use one of these when you're for the most accurate result. Number two, where do I hit from? Well, it's going to be tough because you can see the TrackMan right here in the center. We have some markings on the mat as to where that goes. And we also have a tiny piece of tape up by the screen that you can't see that shows you where to aim, where the center of the screen is. So you're going to want to notice this the first time. You may have to adjust your aim. What feels like left or right a little bit based on that. But know that the TrackMan is always going to consider that piece of tape as dead straight. So make sure to, takes a few times to do that before you get used to it. I'm hitting the driver here. I've got my my ball, and let's talk about tees. We do have some rubber tees down here, or you can use just basic Elkona tees. They go right into this mat. I'll move off to the side here so you can see. We've got a couple different lengths, and they go right into the mat to where I can hit tee the ball up. Secondly, you can see this impact light right down here below that goes in the center of the mat. You're going to want to hit from right between the TrackMan and that piece of tape in the lighted area. That helps the radar capture the exact numbers of the ball so it can see it a little bit better and give you the most accurate readings. Secondly, because we're hitting on the middle of the mat, it does take a little getting used to swinging in a more confined area. As a right-handed golfer with my biggest club, longest club in the bag, I am going to feel like I'm very, very close to this wall the first couple times. Now you can see I've actually got plenty of room here, and it'll take me reaching back to actually hit that fabric. And it is good to note that this is not an actual wall. This is mostly fabric right here, so it won't damage your club if you get it the first time. Okay, but you actually have more room than you think down here, and you're going to feel like you're hitting a little bit closer to one side or the other, righty or lefty, when you first swing a couple times. Okay? So let's hit this one. I don't know if you can see the screen well, and let's talk about what you're going to see. Oh, that was not a good shot. Off the tree and into the first cut. So now we'll talk a little bit about those power and spin numbers that we talked about. Okay, so here I am after that less than stellar drive. I'm in the first cut after a nice bounce off the tree. And just to show you what you'll see here now, as we talked about in the first video, I've got 222 yards still to this hole. I am up 17 inches, which means pretty much flat, but slightly up from where my ball is to the green. And you can also see my power number has dropped to 98% because I'm in the first cut. Nothing too substantial, but a little bit less than would be in the fairway. My spin number has dropped to 84%. So if I'm someone that's used to hitting it high and landing it soft on the green, because I produce a lot of spin, this ball is not going to spin. It's going to spin 84% of what I would normally expect to have. So a couple things to note. You can also see the grid over here on my ball, which shows you that I'm on a not so flat lie right here. The ball is a little bit above my feet based on what I can see on that grid, and that will affect ball flight a little bit. So I could expect this ball to launch a little bit left of where it normally would. A couple things to note when you're playing simulated golf. Okay, let's quickly run through some of the error message, the basic problems you might run into the first couple times using this. I'm on the practice screen here where I spend most of my time. And a couple basic things that may happen you'll run into when you're hitting balls down here. Number one, hitting in the area. So you can't see the TrackMan here, but the TrackMan produces a little bit of a coned area from where you can hit from. It's always set up directly below this impact light in the lighted area here. But if I happen to hit one a little off to the side, I'll do that intentionally. You'll get this screen sometimes, which will say that the ball was not in the hitting area. And it'll actually give you a little diagram as to where the ball was and where it should be. So it'll see, it's telling me that the ball was a little bit too far right for this hitting area. That's just a reminder that you want to hit from the center of the screen. TrackMan will actually read almost everything perfectly, even if it's not in the hitting area, because it's locating the ball. But it will not give you a lot of the club impact data, attack angle, swing direction, things like that. So always make sure that you'll hit in the area. All you have to do is say, okay, I got it on the computer screen, and try and hit it again. When you're playing golf, you won't run into this as much. The TrackMan will give you all of the data it collected to hit your shot. Mainly you'll see this on the practice side. Number two is calibration. So sometimes you'll see, you'll hit some shots down here and you think, boy, all of these shots are going to the right for some reason. Or I know I didn't hit that one the way the shot produced. And sometimes that can happen where somebody bumps the TrackMan or it gets a little bit off skew and you need to recalibrate it. In the top over here, screen, you'll see a little circle with a line through it that says target. If I go off screen here to click on that, you can see it will update a target image. As soon as it's done doing this, it'll actually read the camera right from the TrackMan. But you're going to want to hit this button up here that says auto target, and that will automatically recalibrate the TrackMan to the center of the screen. So when I do that, it'll show this screen for a second, the TrackMan will read it, and then you've been recalibrated. Finally, the more time the TrackMan has to read the ball, the better the numbers are. So you can see the hitting mat for anything iron and down. The center of this hitting mat will be very, very accurate. If you are a higher ball speed player, or when you hit the driver, I suggest moving it a little bit closer to the back of the mat. Just you can see the ball right there. That gives the TrackMan a split second longer to read the ball, and it typically produces more accurate results. So if you see sometimes that it's not giving you all of the data points, try moving the ball back just a little bit, especially with those higher ball speed players, to give that a little bit more time to register and get all of those numbers correctly. Those are some of the basic things you'll run into as far as with the TrackMan and how it reads the ball. Any other things will take a little bit of time to get used to on the software, and we can help with that as well, the golf professional staff. One more note on the TrackMan before I go any further on some of the error messages or things that may not seem right. I will tell you that this thing is a truth teller. It is military grade technology. It is very, very accurate. I like to think I swing the club at 120 miles an hour. This thing reminds me all the time that I don't. And I don't hit it as far as I sometimes think I do, especially when I hit a 10 out of 10 shot downwind and a little bit downhill. So take that for what it is. This thing is a very, very good tool to understand your own game, and it is very accurate. And that's all I'll say on that. Next, let's talk about some of the games you can play and some of the fun you can have, because obviously this is a great tool to just come down and have some fun if you don't want to actually get out and play a golf course. There is this third tab over here that says Games. If we click on that, you can see a number of games the TrackMan has built into its software, starting with Bullseye, which is a fun game to play. We use this in junior golf a lot to hit it. You get points for closest to the pin. Scrapyard is a brand new game. I haven't tried that one out yet. Magic Pond, again, great for kids. It's a very fun game where you hit shots into a pond and grab different animals, very cute and fun to do. Streets of Neon is a putt-putt game. It's a animated putt-putt course you can play on. Over here to the right, you can do Capture the Flag, where you will capture flags by hitting it closer than your opponents. Hit It is a longest drive contest. A lot of fun to do. And then simply a closest to the pin. If you want to play, bet a little bit of money on who can hit it closest to the pin. There are some fun games to play as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about putting. For those of you that do choose to putt, most everybody has the most fun when they do the auto two-putt or auto putt function, but you can, TrackMan is very accurate as far as putting goes, and this is how you would do it on the course. So hopefully you can see with the lighting, I've got a 39.2 foot putt here, and I'm down 6 inches, as I can see in the bottom part of this screen. And I can see the grid, just like you would play if you've played a golf video game before. The grid will show you the slope of the green. So on this putt, 40 feet long, and it is breaking pretty severely from my right to left. So what I would do here is I would aim from where the ball is to that little piece of tape, which is where the ball is on the screen, that is center. That's what straight is going to be. So in this case, because I can see the putt is breaking to my left, I'm going to aim a little bit right of that ball, and I'm going to guess as to what a 39-foot putt feels like, since I can't really see it, at least as I normally would if I'm more of a feel player. So a great tool to actually work on some of your putting. You can also set the stimp meters in your settings as well. They always default to 10, which is a little bit slower than we have here at Elkona. So I'm going to try to hit a 40-foot putt here and show you what that looks like. I'm going to aim a little bit to my right. A little bit downhill. Whoa! It's a lot of bit downhill. I hit that a little bit too far. But you can see that's how you would use the putting feature if you choose to putt. So there are some of the basics on how to get set up on the TrackMan simulator here at Elkona. I hope everybody has a chance to come out and use this great amenity. I did not cover nearly everything that the TrackMan can do in this video, and I will put out more and more videos throughout the off season to talk about some of the other features, as well as some of the data points and what they mean when you're using this down here. It's a great time. I hope everybody comes out to enjoy it. We'll be open on December 1st. You can book tee times online. They're booked in hour slots, and I hope you come out and use it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.